Hey ladies and gentlemen, so here we are with our third worksheet on pronouns. Today we're going to focus on the interrogative pronoun. And there's a couple of things to take note of before we begin. First, most of the pronouns are going to be the same as, most of the interrogative pronouns that we're going to look at today are the same as relative pronouns. There's only one difference. We're also going to use what. Okay, so what is different in the fact that the relative pronoun, we don't use it. That's the first thing, okay? And the second thing is these pronouns are at the beginning of our sentence. And the reason why they're at the beginning of the sentence is because they trigger a question, okay? They tell the reader, they tell the listener that a question is being asked, okay? So before we begin, just make sure you understand that we're going to look at these 5 pronouns. What, which, who, whom, and whose. I also want you to pay attention to, and remember this, the word interrogative simply means question, okay? We're going to write questions today. That means at the end of the sentence, the punctuation mark is going to be a question mark, okay? All right. So those 2 things I wanted to cover real quick. Now let's get into the activity. And if you have any questions, please remember you can always send me a message on Remind or just send me an email and I'll be happy to explain it further. All right, so what we're going to do for the first part is we're just going to identify the correct interrogative pronouns. So directions, we're going to read each definition and then place the pronoun in the blank space. This will help us practice correct pronoun usage while we observe characteristics of the pronoun usage. So for the first 5, we're going to look at who. And here's our definition. Who refers to a person. It is used as the subject of the verb. You can use to ask for information about what people are doing or who they are. So for this one, all we're doing is in the blank space, we're placing the word who. And that's the beginning of our sentence, okay? Who threw the baseball? Who wants ice cream? Who was driving the car? Who was going to take out the trash? And who won yesterday? There's a simple trick that you can use as well when you are trying to determine whether or not you should use the word who. And that is, if you want to answer the question, if you can use he, she, or they in your answer, you know you used who correctly. Let me show you what I mean. Who threw the baseball? I'm going to answer this in a complete sentence using the information from this sentence. He threw the baseball. That makes sense. I can do the same thing for number 2. Who wants ice cream? They want ice cream. And that sentence also makes sense. So when I'm going to ask a question and I can replace it with he, she, or they when I answer the question, then I know I've used who correctly. Also remember that who is referring to the subject of a verb, not the object, which is what we're going to look at for the second part. All right, so whom. Whom refers to a person. It is used as the object of a verb or an object of the preposition. It is used to find out whom an action is being done to, not who is doing the action. So, again, you'll do this for 6 through 10. You just place whom in the blank space and get some good practice with that. Now, this is a little different than who. We cannot use he, she, or they at the beginning of the sentence and then end it with the period and it makes sense. For example, if I were to say, he did you speak to? It doesn't make sense. What you can do is you can use an object word at the end of the sentence and it should make sense. Let's try it out. The object of he is him, okay? Did you speak to him? That makes sense. So if I can rewrite the sentence by placing him at the end, and actually just rewriting the question, does it make sense? Yes, it does. Him is an object. You'll be able to do that, okay? So I just wanted to make sure you could see the difference between who and whom. I also want you to know that whom is not very common in English language. You usually really only see it in academic writing or academic discourse. So most of your English teachers will be able to correct you when you're using it incorrectly. But it's good knowledge to have, okay? It really is. And typically just remember that it is used to ask and refer to a pronoun that is not the subject of the verb, the object of the verb. It is used to determine the object of a verb or the object of a preposition, okay? So, I'll briefly go over these next three. I just really wanted to focus on trying to differentiate between who and whom for today when we ask questions. Whose is, I think, pretty straightforward. It does refer to possession, okay? And it's used to ask about, let me read this definition to you. Whose indicates possession. It is used to ask questions about people or objects, always related to possession. So, again, you'll just go in here and you will write in whose for 11 through 15. And pretty straightforward, I hope. If not, just remember that this is asking questions about possession, okay? Whose is this? This is mine. Whose parents are those? Those are John's parents. If I were to say those are, let me just write that down. This is a statement or an answer to the question. Who am I referring to in this? So when I use the pronoun whose, who am I referring to in this? I'm referring to a possessive, all right? So the possessive is actually right here. John's parents, okay? Whose phone is that? That phone is Amy's, all right? Or that is Amy's phone. Remember, we're referring to the possessive, okay? All right, now what? What is used to ask about things? And then which is used to show a choice among two or more items. I think for this one, just remember that usually the speaker or the writer is trying to ask a question that is trying to get more information about something, or they're trying to be more descriptive, or they want a more descriptive response, or they're asking questions that have to do with choosing between multiple things, okay? Or multiple people. So let me see if I can minimize that confusion there. Which do you prefer? So when we see this, we know that there is a choice between two or more items. Let's just imagine that we're talking about ice cream flavors. If you're talking about ice cream flavors, maybe there's chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Which do you prefer? Which of these ladies is your mother? So we can visualize the situation as maybe there's more than one woman in a room. Maybe there's more than one mother in a room, and a person wants to be, they want to ask for specific information that will help them understand who they're trying to figure out who it is. Okay. So that's that. And here's part B. All right, so this is where we're gonna actually see if we know how to use these pronouns correctly. All right, so after reviewing the examples, determine which pronoun is missing in each of the following sentences. Pay careful attention to the way the sentence is written. Okay, now, you do have 10 sentences, so, and you have 5 pronouns. So you need to find out which pronoun belongs in each sentence, but it will be used twice, right? So there's going to be 2 examples of each pronoun in this activity. And remember, if you just need a quick refresher, go back to the first page. But the pronouns that we're going to use today are who, whom, whose, which, and what. These are the 5 pronouns we're going to use today. These are our interrogative pronouns. All right, so our example here is blank lawyer made the best argument. Could be which lawyer made the best argument. Okay. If you have any questions as you do this, please send me a message on your mind or send me an email. I'll be happy to answer them for you. If not, I hope this video helped you. Again, good luck, and I will talk to you guys later.